Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Ben the Human Plays Against the Storm. We're here in the Smouldering City. We finished our tutorial town and they want us to use our resources, the food stockpiles, to unlock the Obsidian Archives. So this is kind of where the meta it's exactly where the meta progression happens in Against the Storm. So you gather these resources by creating these towns in between storm cycles. So we get stockpiles, which are food, you get machinery, and then you get artifacts. And each of these has a cost that we then pay as we go further and further along what is essentially a technology tree. So if we unlock the Obsidian Archive here, we get these two things. So we get the Queen's Patience, which is just a base stat that applies to the rest of our settlements forever. You get a -2% increase to the speed at which the Queen's Impatience grows, and there are compounding stats that get added to that. So eventually we might, I don't know the exact number, but eventually we might get to 10% or maybe even like 20%, which would be great, especially as we get into the higher difficulties. We also get the fundamental upgrade, the Obsidian Archive, where records are kept about great viceroys and unlocks deeds, which I will explain what those are in a second. We also have access to the level 2 of that, which would give us advanced controls for what is consumed in your settlement and by whom. So we could kind of control who's eating what food if we wanted, or we could get the Monastery of the Vigilant Flame, which gives us a reduction to fuel consumption, and then we could also take stone or clay as an embarkation bonus, which I think I'll do that one just to show what an embarkation bonus is. So now we have 2 buildings. So deeds here are these different things that you can achieve throughout your game. There's a lot of them, but the first one here is called finish your first game after the tutorial. So by doing that, we will unlock this deed, which will give us our own house, which doesn't really do anything from what I remember. It's been a while though, so maybe they've changed this, but the last time I remember, it didn't really give us anything actually useful. If we discover 10 glades, we'll get 50 experience points. There's a lot of things that give you experience in the game. We could also unlock a standard uniform. We'll play and then you'll see what the deeds do as we go. We're out of resources, so there's nothing else to buy. So we'll go ahead and leave the Smouldering City, and then we'll move on to Tutorial Town 2. This world is governed by the Eternal Blight Cycle. It is almost upon us, so no caravans are allowed to embark. Press the button in the lower right corner of the screen to finish the cycle. So we've done Tutorial Town 1, we did Tutorial Town number 2, and then there's no more time left before the Blight Storm hits, so we're just gonna call it a day. So the Blight Storm is coming, your settlements have been abandoned, and people are returning to the Citadel. So essentially, between each cycle, you're building these little towns to gather resources, but after the Blight Storm, the entire map is going to be wiped clean, and we will start fresh after the next cycle starts. And the cycle... Storm is coming. Kabam! There's the storm. And because of the Smouldering Queen's influence, the Citadel is protected. Or maybe because of the volcano, who knows? Your goal as a Viceroy is to reach the ancient seals with your caravan and reforge them, pushing back the Blightstorm. You're almost ready to venture out on your own. Choose any map tile in your embarkation range to begin. So, you can get things later that improves your embarkation range, but right now, we don't have much range, so we kind of have to pick and choose where we're going. We would like to reach this ancient seal over here. But let's see. Well, there's a couple things on the map here that we could use. So there's fertile grounds, which gives glades an increased chance of producing fertile soil. This one is Royal Outpost. Pool of order choices increases by 1, which is kind of nice. And then an abandoned settlement. Win a game near an abandoned settlement modifier. Oh, look, why don't we just do that one? Because that gives us an achievement. Royal Woods, Scarlet Orchard. And then we can't reach these over here. I think I will start in the Scarlet Orchard. The Scarlet Orchard is kind of an interesting biome. Each of these different colors produces different things. So there's marshlands, coral forest, coastal grove. They all have kind of like different quirks about them. I'm sure we'll play in all of them as I continue the playthrough here. But let's do this Scarlet Orchard. It would give us a deed, and then we'll also make progress towards the ancient seal. To embark, you must first choose a caravan that will become the foundation of your town's population. So I think what I tend to like to do is try and max the population that you start with. So we'd start with 4 humans, 3 beaver, and then two extra citizens, so we'd have a total of 9. This one, by comparison, has a total of 8. Boots. And then mushrooms and bugs. You guys start with berries, bugs, and clay. I think I prefer this one just in general. Choose a difficulty. The higher the rank, the greater the reward, but beware, an experienced Viceroy won't last long on higher difficulties. I don't think we can actually go... We could go all the way to Viceroy right now. But the thing is, each higher difficulty tends to take longer to clear, at least in my experience. So I think what I will do is I'm going to try to clear these as fast as I can on the lowest difficulty allowed. Something that's interesting about this game is as you move further out, it forces you to choose a higher difficulty. You could get around that by just settling nearby the Citadel. But I think it behooves you to push further out to kind of press yourself to learn different parts of the game. But we'll start by following the natural progression of the land. Use all of your embarkation points to take extra goods with you. You're finally ready to embark. Remember, there is always a way out. Experiment and adapt. Aye, aye. May the storm be gentle upon you. All right, so we've chosen this group. For our embarkation bonus, I tend to like bringing stone. It costs 2 points compared to the 1 that the other ones do. But I like having stone and I like having wood. You can gain things that will give you more embarkation points, and then there will also be other things to bring as embarkation bonuses later as well. But let's start with that. So this is our first non-tutorial mission. All right, so we're starting in the forest, the Scarlet Citadel, or whatever it's called. I forget. Scarlet Forest. The forest mysteries here. So during the drizzle, we have the drizzle anomaly, which means rains falls slower. You gain 15 drizzle per minute during the drizzle. So we just gain drizzle water, which is useful. You can use that for crafting and running machinery. We also have something called untapped wealth. Villagers gather twice as amount the secondary resources when collecting from gathering nodes during the drizzle as well. Then we also have looming darkness, which is during the storm. That's always, I think you always have looming darkness, which is the negative modifier to global resolve based on your hostility. And then faint flame. So when we hit hostility 2, the hearth will burn things, sacrifices quicker than before. We also have these guys. So we have the abandoned settlement. We have royal archaeologists, which is kind of a special building that I'll if we interface with that, I'll explain it when we do. We have buried mysteries. It is filled with prehistoric remains and ancient excavation sites can be found. And then we also have settler's luck, where villagers have a 35% chance of not consuming food during a break, which is actually huge. We might be able to leverage that into getting a lot of resources. Dude, they gave us buildings already? Sick. Is that normal? Do you always start with some buildings? Or is that because we started near the abandoned settlement? A haunted cooperage. It is haunted, y'all. So this building is not usable yet, but we could burn it down to get some bricks and packs of provisions. Or if we cleanse it, that means we get to use the cooperage. I tend to like cleansing in general. I think it's a better way of like getting access to buildings you might not necessarily have access to. And you don't have to waste a blueprint on it then. That was horrible. We're going to lay out... Oh, there's a little pond. A thunderfish pond. Dude, that's new. You weren't able to fish back in my day. Back in my day, we didn't have fish. There. So what do you get gathered by? A fishing hut. That's also new. Very cool. All right. Slap down this fishing hut. I assume lizard people are good at fishing. Is that true? Maybe it's the frog people that are good at fishing. Ground bait. Oh, cool. You can use packs of crops to improve your bait. Double the yield. That's pretty neat. I've never seen that before, but I love it. There's also a stone node over here. We're not going to prioritize that just yet, because we do have a little bit of stone that we brought with us. But we want to start with a woodcutter's camp. I think we'll slap it down here, because I'd like to get into this glade sooner rather than later. So we'll start there. And then we need to... This will be our food source for now. But we do want to choose blueprints. I don't know. It's a bit of a risk to pick small farm without knowing if there's any fertile ground nearby. A better fishing hut would be interesting, because you're a small node. But if we found a big node, I think I'm going to lean into that just because that's an option. Smokehouse is great for lizard men. They love jerky. The cookhouse is also interesting because it makes skewers, biscuits, and porridge. I think this would actually benefit our people overall better. Brickyard is also good because you can make a lot of bricks. I think I'll go with the cookhouse. Well, what are you? The furnace. I have to rebuild you, though. But you make pie, skewers, and copper. And the butcher makes skewers, jerky. Okay, so maybe we go with the brickyard then, because we don't have access to bricks. And then the weaver is a great one because they make fabric. Right now, we're just missing a building to make us planks. We also would like to get some housing going, so let's go ahead and start shelterizing. There. 4 houses. I understand how... So sacrificing is the thing they talked about. You can sacrifice materials. Literally, you're burning materials just to improve resolve. Or not even just resolve, but to reduce hostility, I should say. And then, or if you sacrifice sea marrow or oil, it increases production speed. So it's just kind of like destroying materials to get a passive benefit. I'm going to keep the beaver in here for consumption purposes. The lower your fuel consumption, the better. And then long term, we would like to rebuild the butcher. We would like to rebuild the furnace. And then we would like to cleanse the haunted cooperage here. We have access to the brickyard and the weaver. And then we have access to a bigger fishing hut. So there was a comment, I think it was last episode, about how some people... So we have this heat range. Some people don't like to build their industry in there. And I totally understand that, because you're taking up space that could be used for housing. I've never found that I've needed that space in a meaningful way. Like, I've needed more housing and my industry is in the way. I've either finished the level too fast, not that I'm like trying to say I'm that great at the game, that's just how I play it, or I've needed to have a second hearth anyway, and then you have more space for housing as it is. So I've never really found it to be a problem building my industry within the heat zone, but you know, your mileage may vary. Wealthy settlements attract wealthy settlers. Newcomers bring 40% more goods with them for every hearth level gained. That actually sounds really good, but also increases the production speed of bars, crystallized dew, and recipes that use metal ingots. I think I like this one just because it's really easy to get the first level of the hearth off the ground. You need just 3 of these green decorations, and what I tend to do is just build a fence right behind the hearth, and then that gives you your first level of hearth upgrade. You go from, what are you, just a normal hearth, and then all the way to encampment is that quick. You just need housing as well, but that usually happens just by people living nearby. 8 villagers, and we already have 9, so we should be fine there. Now, I would like to get my bricks going and my weaver, so I think I'm gonna build the brickyard right here. And then we're going to slap the weaver wherever that fits. I guess here would be good. We've got orders. You always start with 3 kind of basic orders. Woodcutter's camp is always a good one. And then just delivering 30 wood is also a good one. Or 35. I guess this one you'd need woodcutter's camps and 35 wood. The nice thing about this one is we would get resin as well, which we could use to cleanse the cooperage. So I think I'll do this one. We're going to get 2 woodcutter's camps as it is, so it should be fine. Deliver 15 eggs and you get pickle jar production. You get some berries and people. Or we build a trading post and deliver amber, which gives us pickled goods, parts, and tools. I do like the idea. These are really strong just because they give you more resources for what you would normally produce anyway. So I do like the idea of this one. I just don't know where we would get eggs. I'm gonna think about that one. And the other thing is, if you pick this one and you have to wait around for the eggs, you aren't going to get this Queen's Grace anytime soon. So I think I'm going to, as much as I would like to improve the pickle jar production, I think I'll go with the trading post because I think it's easier to achieve. And then next we could deliver storm water, which would improve our water production, give us some pipes and give us some people. But actually this one is way better. You get grain production, you get more fabric production, and then you get some parts. And delivering 2 packs of each of these is relatively easy to do early on. And now you can see, so the game will progress. Each of these orders will unlock at these specific times. So 46 minutes from now, we will have all of these things unlocked. You guys are going to continue working here. Chop your way into the glade. I think we only have 2 spare people. Yes, 2 builders. We still have a lot of stuff to build. But I would like to build that extra woodcutter's camp. We're probably not going to use it for a minute here. Do I want to cut my way into a dangerous glade this early? We're kind of surrounded by dangerous glades now that I see it. We can get into this one. We could also cut a long way into this one, into these 2, and maybe that would be more prudent to do. But I think I want, instead of actually punching into this glade, I want to, like, carve away some of this forest just so we have a better place to expand our village here. We're going to move our camp a little closer. And something that's really cool that you can do is you can actually change how the woodcutters are working. If you mark avoid glades, they will cut the wood 1 tree away from the glade, so you can really get as close as possible without actually threatening to punch through. And that's useful when you're trying to avoid dangerous glades, or at least delay getting into them. We found our way in. There's some swamp wheat. Neat. And then we have a abandoned cache, so we could send this to the Citadel for some amber and some grace, or we could just try to bust our way in, and that would get us some meat and some resin. I honestly think just breaking our way in would be fine. Go ahead and do that. More food is good, and the resin is going to allow us to clear. I know we have another way to get resin as well, but it would allow us to clear this even faster, clearing away the frightening visions. You guys are going to keep hacking away. We're almost through the drizzle season. You guys still have to build this weaver, but we don't have any planks, so that's the problem. Same thing here. So we need to build a crude workstation just to be able to build the resources that we need to build our more advanced factories over here. And I think I'm going to take crystallized dew, and I'm honestly going to take pottery out of here for now. Just because I don't know if I'll need pottery anytime soon. We can always add that in later. Boots used as clothing by lizards. And locked. So lizards like boots. I think boots are very similar to coats. It does the same thing. Where it gives them resolve when they use boots. That wasn't something in the game either. Training gear is the thing that lizardmen use to boost their resolve in luxury buildings. And then, so you are very interesting. I think I'm going to turn you off and then only have you produce planks for now. And I'm going to have you just produce 10 as is. And then that will allow us to build the brickyard, and that will allow us to build the weaver. And then the weaver and the brickyard will take over for brick and fabric production. Right now, we just kind of need extra villagers, and now you can kind of see why I prioritize getting as many people to come with you on the missions as possible, because you just need a lot of people early on, and I've found, like, the more people you bring with you, the faster you can kind of get your village up and running. We could build a trading post. Trading post is pretty cheap to just start. I think I'll throw it. I usually do like to throw the trading post kind of like in the middle of nowhere. Maybe we'll clear this box, and then I'll put the trading post all the way out there. Do we have any amber? I don't think we do. Maybe it would have been a good idea to send it to the to the citadel so we could have rolled the amber into our goals. But we did complete the woodcutting one. Oh, perfect. The carpenter is a great one. Oh, we also have the lumber mill too. Ooh, decisions. I do really like buildings that can build tools though. And honestly, like, we haven't really gotten into trading yet. And scrolls are a late game material that I don't think we'll ever actually be able to use. So I'm going to go for carpenter here. It's a little less efficient than... It's a little less efficient than the lumber mill. But the fact that it can produce tools is really useful. Because like I said, tools are really good for a lot of glade events. They're also really good for unlocking these caches and sending them to the citadel if you want to try and leverage that to get a lot of resolve. So we have 3 free people now. So honestly, I'm just gonna put you here, you here. I don't think it looks like probably the frog people are the people that are good at fishing, which does kind of make sense because frogs are amphibious and lizards are not. Amateur biologist here, checking in. How many fish do you get out of this thing before? Ah, we've almost used this guy up already. That's crazy. Scales are cool. Used for crafting. I wonder what you can use to craft. Oh, retrieve the nets? Or do these people just do this on their own? I wonder. Oh, okay. So that's really cool. So I didn't realize this is how this was working. Is you're gathering the fish, and you can bring them in early, but that would destroy the node. But if you want to get all of the resources, you just let them farm the whole thing, and then when it's done, they'll bring it in as one large group. That's really interesting, because all the other nodes, you just kind of like pick at them as you go. Fascinating. All right, we're not building anything, so I'm going to put this person to work here. Let's pay attention to our resolve for a second. So the storm has just started. It's dropping. And then we're going to start this cleansing ritual, which will knock down resolve by another 3 every 60 seconds. And the storm is going to last for about 100 seconds. So we should be okay. I don't think we'll actually dip into negative resolve here, which is when people start to leave. You don't want negative resolve. Bad stuff happens at negative resolve. Our hostility level is still 0 as well. So the thing that increases hostility, the nice thing about this game is if you want to know information, generally all you have to do is just mouse over something and it'll present it right to you. So if you're looking at hostility, it's mostly a problem during the storm, but hostility increases each year. Hostility increases with the more glades that you open. So we've opened 1, so we have 5 from that. No dangerous glades. It increases as your population goes up. It increases with the more woodcutters that you have. And then it decreases with the amount of hearths and the amount of the queen's impatience that is out there. So you can kind of play those things off each other. The other thing that you can do is, as you're woodcutting, if you're like, my hostility is way too high during the storm, you can stop your woodcutters from cutting during the storm, and that can kind of alleviate things for you for a little bit. But I usually only start caring about that at later difficulties. Right now it's totally fine to just leave your villagers hacking through stuff during the storm. It should be fine. 50 seconds left on cleansing the cooperage. And then we're building the brickyard. I actually wanted you to build the carpenter first. That's my bad, though. I should have put this at a higher priority. How many planks we got? None. All right, we got new cornerstones. So after each year, you will get a cornerstone, which is just a positive bonus to the village. So we have improvised tools. Woodcutters are tasked with making makeshift tools. Discovering a glade during the storm grants us 15 tools. So that would kind of push us to open glades during the storm, which is kind of interesting. And then we have Calming the Forest. One who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with all. Every glade event solved by making a decision marked as empathy lowers hostility by 4, and it's retroactive. This can be really, really helpful, especially later in the game if you're trying to knock down your hostility even further. I don't generally like things that force you to open glades if you're not ready for it. I also tend to just go towards the one that gives you the most population. So we got 3 extra villagers, which is great. We can put the beaver to work, put the lizards to work. And then this one I'm actually going to mark avoid glades. And then I'm going to mark as many trees as I can here. And then our plan here is to carve this out and then move this guy over here to carve that side out without actually entering the glade for now. We will eventually, but not right now. But we need fabric. We'll have to get the... Well, we wouldn't necessarily have to get the weaver up and running. So I'm gonna turn you off for now. Those deactivate you, but I would like to get you up and running eventually when we have more materials and we have more villagers to run you. Of the 3 buildings we started with, I think getting the furnace going... Actually, I think getting the butcher going would be quicker. The fishing hut is idle. That's fine. It just means we need to move these villagers elsewhere to make them useful. So actually, I'm going to put you guys to work here. Who has this specialization bonus? Is that frog people too? Masonry. Are you guys good at masonry?
Uh-huh.
Meat and warmth, woodworking and engineering, farming and brewing. Okay, so that must be frog people. I would love to get some frog people. I've never interacted with them before. Yeah, you guys just start making bricks. That would be great. You guys are producing wood. And actually, I think we should go ahead and make these things because we do have a goal out there. Oh, we don't have any of those resources. We do have a goal out there to turn in 2 of those. I'm gonna go ahead and get the lizard going. I'm gonna build a foraging camp out here so we can gather this wheat. Because then we can use that wheat to make a pack of crops at the very least. And we have 2 homeless people, so we would like to mitigate that problem. Like that. We haven't unlocked level 2 yet, so, you know, leaving this thing at level 1 is where we're at. New orders to pick? What do we got? Have 6 lizards and have their resolve be above 14? That's doable. Need complex food fulfilled and then deliver oil. We don't really have a way to produce oil right now. And getting better meat production and then unlock it. Well, we already have the butcher. Maybe that's not as useful as I thought it was. I would love to get access to the ability to produce oil, especially because it kind of compounds itself by improving the production. So maybe we pick this one with the hope that we'll be able to pick a building that makes oil. Need for jerky will happen because we have the butcher. These can be pretty strong because it'll improve the resolve of the beavers overall, but I think I like this one just because it kind of rolls into itself. But we do need to repair you at some point. I guess we could salvage this guy just to get oil, but I think it makes more sense if you can unlock the ability to get oil and then solve that problem. Otherwise, you're just kind of like doing it for resolve. I guess if you did it for resolve and you completed the game that way, that would also be a viable thing to do. I'm going to stick you guys further into the forest here. Building our little thing there. You guys have all of the wood. And honestly, just like keep on chunking with the planks. Basically, once we have enough planks for the weaver here, I'm just gonna like stop them from producing planks. Yeah, let's let this person finish the planks. You guys are making bricks. Fantastic. Forestry. I would have thought the butcher was a meat. Or is it the... you know what? I bet it's the rebuild task that is forestry. And then the butcher production itself is meat. They'll trick you that way. Not on purpose, but sometimes. Right, nobody's homeless. That's good. These guys are gathering wheat. That should go pretty quick. I'm gonna kick it up to 1.5. That's kind of what I talked about last time, is I do tend to run it at a bit of a higher speed. You can kind of slow play it, but actually the faster you clear a village, the more time you have within each cycle. We'll see that when we've finished this village. But we probably won't do that until next episode. These guys are finally starting to build this guy, which is great news. So we're gonna pause for now. Ooh, algae, neat. We're going to pause the episode for now. We'll pick up next time with our village here. I forget what we named this village. Does it tell me anywhere? It was like Amber something. But anyway, if you guys enjoyed the episode, please click the like button. It helps me out a lot. If you want to see more episodes of Against the Storm or the other videos I have going on the channel, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you have your notifications on so you know when the next videos go live. But until next time, everybody, I hope you had a good one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye, everybody!